This is CBC News. Good afternoon. I'm Josh Crabb in Winnipeg at noon. It's currently 5 degrees in Winnipeg, on the way to a high of 9 this afternoon. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is in Winnipeg today announcing a fund to help increase the number of affordable homes. Trudeau spoke in an affordable housing complex in Transcona where families and seniors live with rents geared to their income. He says what's been occurring too often across the country is apartment blocks are often bought up, renovated, and then rents skyrocket.
People are being priced out of their communities, and that's not okay. So we have to help nonprofits and community partners acquire units and preserve rents at a stable level. That's why we're here to announce the $1.5 billion Canada Rental Protection Fund.
Trudeau says it will result in low-cost loans for the nonprofit sector and developers to purchase, build, and maintain affordable housing. Housing Minister Sean Fraser couldn't say how much of the $1.5 billion Manitoba would receive, but he says it would be proportionate across the country. Federal NDP leader Jagmeet Singh is in Winnipeg today to meet with Premier Wab Kinew, but he is weighing in on the housing announcements made by the Liberal government. Singh says the approach Ottawa is taking will not address the need for affordable housing. He says the federal government should look back to how the housing crisis following the Second World War was addressed. Singh says federal land and money was used to build wartime or victory homes that were affordable.
We need to see an all approach, not just one solution, but looking at cooperative housing, looking at not-for-profit housing. We really need to have a focus on affordability, use every bit of federal land that we have, and use it with the federal money and power that we have to build affordable homes that are within people's budgets to rent or to own.
Meanwhile, the federal New Democrats are losing 3 members of their caucus. Party whip Rachel Blaney, Carol Hughes, and Charlie Angus have all announced today they won't be running in the next election. Angus is the most prominent of the 3. He's been on Parliament Hill since 2004. Kate Rutherford reports.
Angus says after 7 elections and 2 decades in politics, it's time to step down, and the redrawing of his riding's boundaries is playing a role in his decision. He represents the Timmins-James Bay riding, already larger than the UK. The Electoral Boundaries Commission decided to make it bigger, creating the new riding of Mushkegowuk-Kapuskasing-Timmins, encompassing an additional 20,000 square kilometers. Angus says he's no stranger to white-knuckling northern highways in winter, traveling by helicopter, prop plane, bus, train, and freighter canoe to meet constituents. He's witnessed floods, evacuations, and horrific suicide crises. Angus ran for the leadership of the party in 2017, losing to current leader Jagmeet Singh. But after 20 years of being a part-time family man, he says he owes a lot of time to people he truly loves. He says he'll serve out his term with fire in his belly. Kate Rutherford, CBC News, Sudbury.
The city of Winnipeg is thinking about phasing out fogging for adult nuisance mosquitoes. As CBC's Bartley Kivas reports, the pesticide the city uses is no longer being made.
Winnipeg uses a product called DeltaGuard to spray for adult nuisance mosquitoes. That's a trade name for the pesticide deltamethrin. According to a new report to City Council, the manufacturer isn't making DeltaGuard anymore, so the city has bought up all the product it can find. It should last the city for another 2 to 4 years. Winnipeg is deciding what to do after that. It could ask another manufacturer to license its product in Canada, but that's expensive and the market isn't very big. Winnipeg is the largest city in Canada to spray for nuisance mosquitoes. The other option is to stop spraying for adult mosquitoes. There are no changes planned to larviciding. That's the main way Winnipeg keeps mosquito numbers down. Bartley Kivas, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Winnipeg police have arrested a 25-year-old man in connection to a serious assault at a restaurant at Confusion Corner. It happened Tuesday morning at the Burger King at Osborne and the corner of Donald and Corden. Police say a 45-year-old man was badly injured in his upper body after a man he knew came in, assaulted him, and ran off. Police found the suspect in the 200 block of Osborne Street around noon yesterday. The man faces numerous charges, including aggravated assault and failing to comply with probation orders. The victim has been upgraded from critical to stable condition. The NATO foreign ministers, including Canada's Melanie Joly, are gathered in Brussels to mark the alliance's 75th anniversary. Here is Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg.
European allies provide world-class militaries, vast intelligence networks, and unique diplomatic leverage, multiplying America's might.
NATO officials openly say they are actively preparing for the possibility of Donald Trump returning to the White House. They say a plan going forward is required because Trump has described NATO as being obsolete. And Ford Canada says the opening of its electric vehicle plant in Oakville, Ontario is being delayed by 2 years. The original plan was to have the $1.8 billion facility up and running by next year. Ford now says the opening has been pushed to 2027. The Ontario government and Ottawa have pledged close to $300 million to the project. Ford has announced a similar delay for the opening of an electric truck plant in Tennessee. And that is the CBC News from Winnipeg. Your next local news is coming up at 12:30. For news anytime, you can always head to cbc.ca/Manitoba or download the free CBC News app. In Winnipeg today, sunny, a high of 9, wind from the northeast at 10. For Brandon, mainly sunny, a high of 10, and in Thompson, cloudy and a high of 6.
Good afternoon, Manitoba. You're listening to Radio Noon here on CBC Radio 189.3 FM, 990 AM, and everywhere on YouTube. How's my hair looking? Good to see everybody. Good thing I got a haircut this week. I'm Corey Funk. Good to be with you. Coming up this hour on the show, aspiring doctors may soon be able to train in Western Manitoba now that a med school at Brandon University is in the works. We're going to get details from BU's president coming up after 12:30. But this half hour on the show, after a dry winter, wildfires are already top of mind for First Nations communities in northern Manitoba. Weather specialist and climate change reporter Riley Lachuk will join us to talk about how leaders in those regions are preparing. But first on the show, new funding from the province and the feds for affordable housing. Today, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced new money for renters. Speaking at an affordable housing complex in Transcona this morning, Trudeau promised to help create and maintain affordable housing. Here's some of what he had to say.
The affordable housing complex where we are today is multi-generational, meaning some units are for younger families and some are for seniors. I had an opportunity to sit down with Jocelyn and her girls a little bit earlier, but also with a pair of seniors, Marlene and Lou, who are talking, all of them, about how good a place this is to live, how affordable it is, but also the sense of community that happens here. Rents are affordable, and a good portion of them are based on people's income. And the intergenerational connections create a strong sense of community. For families like Jocelyn's, this is a good place to raise kids with peace of mind and stability. Now, this place is run by a nonprofit called the Winnipeg Housing Rehabilitation Corporation. And we need more affordable housing buildings just like this one right across the country. Unfortunately, too many of those places are under constant threat of being demolished to build condos or sold to speculators and large corporations that will increase rents at turnover. People are being priced out of their communities, and that's not okay. So we have to help nonprofits and community partners acquire units and preserve rents at a stable level. That's why we're here to announce the $1.5 billion Canada Rental Protection Fund. The Canada Rental Protection Fund will aim to mobilize investments and financing from the charitable sector, private sector, and other orders of government in order to maximize the ability to acquire and protect affordable housing. A good proof of concept of this initiative is the BC Rental Protection Fund in British Columbia. They recognize that for every new affordable rental home that is built in their province, 4 more are lost to investors, to conversions, to demolition, and to rent increases. And this is happening in communities right across the country, which is why the federal government is acting today.
Hi, Jeff Keel, CTV Winnipeg. You're announcing billions in loans today, the apartment construction and for daycare providers. What's the interest on these loans, and will there be deadlines to pay them back?
There are various models out there. What we're focused on is ensuring low-cost loans for developers who are building affordable homes, low-cost loans for apartments, for public sector and nonprofit sector to be able to purchase and secure affordable rental housing that will last instead of allowing it to be bought up and flipped at higher prices, but also on childcare, long-term affordable loans, low-cost loans to build more infrastructure. This is all about making the math work as we're creating more childcare spaces, as we're creating more affordable rentals, as we're preventing affordable rentals from falling out of the affordable market into rents that people can't afford. These are all various elements that will be revealed more on budget day, but these initiatives are about allowing the sector and allowing people across the country to be able to afford places to live, to go at the challenge that everyone's facing, to make sure that our economy is fair for every generation.
That was Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announcing the new Canada Rental Protection Fund earlier this morning here in Winnipeg. Premier Wab Kinew also announced some new funding there as well for nonprofits who create affordable housing.
The investments shared by the Prime Minister today and articulated also by Minister Fraser are going to help more people get connected with a safe place to call home. They're also in line with our commitment that Minister Smith and the rest of our team share to end chronic homelessness here in Manitoba over the next 8 years. Now, just a few days ago, we introduced our provincial budget, and I'm very happy that there's a really good alignment, a really good fit between what's being announced here and what we're committed to investing right here in Manitoba this year. So in addition to what the federal government is announcing here today, I'm very happy to announce that the province of Manitoba is bringing forward $30 million this year to help not-for-profits, Indigenous governments, municipalities, and all of our partners to have the resources to acquire new housing stock or to acquire existing stock and bring those units online to help people here in Manitoba. So 20 million of those dollars this year is to support not-for-profits. It's to help them take on and renovate buildings right here in Transcona, across Winnipeg, in Brandon, in Thompson, and across this great province. This is going to help our relatives who, unfortunately, we still see sleeping in tents and under bridges. And it's going to offer new steps on the ladder to Manitobans from all walks of life to be able to move into housing units, rental units, and of course, onto home ownership for those who share that goal. We're also going to ensure through these steps that Manitoba remains a province where housing is affordable. We've seen what happens when you slow down supply in other jurisdictions, and we can't let that happen here in Manitoba. We won't let that happen here in Manitoba. We're also going to be devoting $10 million of these dollars to partner with Indigenous governments and to partner with municipalities to support your efforts to work with private sector partners, to work through your own development corporations, to work with other community-based partners through our new Affordable Housing Partnership Program. This is $10 million this year to help support your investments to bring new rental units online to help Manitobans from all walks of life.
That was Premier Wab Kinew, an announcement in Transcona alongside the Prime Minister earlier today. The federal budget is set to be tabled on April 16th.
Sing and sway to R&B on Marvin's Room. Move and groove to the rhythm of Saturday Night Jazz. Crest with the best next wave of Indigenous music on Reclaimed. Savor the flavor of the Francophone world on C'est Formidable. And treasure the arias and encores on Tempo Weekends. Saturday night means music on CBC Radio 1 and on the CBC Listen app.
You're listening to Radio Noon here on CBC Radio 1. I'm Corey Funk, and still to come on the show, Lake Manitoba's strong winter winds in wide open ice may keep some people away, but it's a big draw for a group of seniors who've moved to the area to kiteboard. We're going to head out on the ice with them coming up later this hour. Also, our reporter Riley Lachuk is in studio shortly to tell us about the concerns that northern leaders have around wildfires and what they're doing to prepare. But first, let's take a look at your weather right now, right across the province. Brandon, right now at the airport, cloudy, 5 degrees. Churchill, you are our cold spot right now, but not too cold, pretty manageable. -3 right now, mostly cloudy at the airport. Dauphin, sunny right now, 3 degrees. Flin Flon at the airport, cloudy, 5 degrees right now. Gillam, mostly cloudy. You are sitting at 1. Island Lake, sunny, 1 right now. Melita, you are the hot spot in the province, sitting at 9. Lynn Lake at the airport, cloudy, 3 degrees. Norway House, 4 degrees right now. Portage, mostly cloudy. You're sitting at 6. To Dooley Lake, cloudy, 4 degrees. The Pas, 5. Thompson, mostly cloudy, 1 degree. Winnipeg at the Forks, 7, heading for a high today of 9. Well, after a dry winter, Northern Manitoba leaders say preparations for wildfire season need to begin right away. The Manitoba government has already warned widespread dry conditions could lead to a higher wildfire danger across the province in the coming months. And for more, we're joined by Riley Lachuk, CBC's weather specialist and climate change reporter. Good afternoon there, Riley.
Good afternoon.
So tell us about the situation in these northern communities right now, and which communities are we talking about here?
So Manitoba right now is in pretty widespread drought conditions, either moderate drought to severe drought in the extreme southern part of the province. Yes, there are pockets where we did get adequate precipitation through the winter months, but overall much of the province is still quite dry. And that is prompting the province to warn of these widespread dry conditions and the increased risk of wildfires in particular. And I did speak with the chief of Pimachikamak Cree Nation, who expresses his concern about this, as well as the Keewatin Tribal Council, which represents 11 communities in northern Manitoba, all concerned about the prospect of having to evacuate in the spring and summer months.
So what are some of these chiefs saying?
So Chief David Monius at Pimachikamak says that he really does not want a repeat of the situation that his community went through in May of last year. This is when a wildfire burned quite close to Norway House and Pimachikamak. More than 7,000 people had about 3 hours or so to pack up and leave because of a wildfire that was burning near the community. And he says that climate change has really been affecting weather conditions in his part of northern Manitoba, at least. He says winters are a lot warmer, and this winter in particular, he said there was just not as much snow as they would normally get, and that really has not helped to, fill up water reserves and water tables in the area.
So now what does the chief want to see done?
So after this dry winter, Moni says he wants help from the province and the federal government. He wants them to start getting equipment and personnel in place. Here's a bit of what he had to say.
We need to get better monitoring systems in place. If it was not for the medevacs and the actual firefighters that were actually based out in a different community flying by, they said, "Oh, there's a fire, there's smoke coming out in these areas," and I had to follow up with wildfires. To me, it's dangerous. To them, it doesn't seem to be as dangerous, but they know there are fires, but at the same time, we know our people need to be protected.
So you also spoke to the chief of Keewatin Tribal Council. So how concerned is he about the situation?
So Walter Westesikut says he is very concerned. He represents 11 remote Manitoba First Nations and says the threat of an evacuation is not an easy feeling for anybody who lives in these remote communities. Many would have to leave either by boat or by plane because there are just no roads in and out of some of these communities. Here is what he is saying now about the conditions in his part of the province.
I'm extremely concerned that something like this could happen. Every year there's that threat. Everybody saw the year that happened in BC, parts of Alberta. Fire was all over the place. And even here in northern Manitoba, there was fire.
So what kind of help is he looking for?
So he's thinking more long term. He wants to see more all-weather roads built in northern Manitoba. Winter roads, ice roads, he says, aren't lasting as long in past winters, and that isn't allowing some of the equipment and some of the needed supplies to make its way into northern communities. Yes, as I said, long-term solution here, but he says those talks need to start happening now. Here's his message for other levels of government.
We it means help us. The 11 nations that I represent are the most isolated and remote communities in this province. 9 of them have no access to the outside world whatsoever. The 2 that do travel Highway 280 at their own peril. That road needs to be fixed. The infrastructure that's in the north is not conducive to healthy living.
So, Riley, what's the province saying about all this?
So the province says preparations already underway for this year's wildfire season. It says it is in the process now of identifying sort of the priority areas of where equipment and people need to be, at least for the early part of the season. It says it does have 7 water bombers ready to go for the start of the season, anticipating in the event, I guess, of an early start to the wildfire season. But those water bombers, the province says, can't be used until all the ice is melted off of lakes in northern Manitoba.
Thank you very much, Riley.
You're welcome.
Riley Lachek is CBC's weather specialist and climate change reporter.
Hi, I'm Paul Havershrud, host of The Cost of Living, a national business show that looks at everything the world of money touches, which, admittedly, is a lot of stuff.
The Cost of Living. Go beyond the facts and figures and discover the compelling business stories that affect the day-to-day lives of Canadians right across the country. Economics, business, and you. The Cost of Living with host Paul Havershrud. Available now on CBC Listen.
Got time for a little bit of music here. Here's a track from Manitoba's own JP Ho off his 2022 album Botanicals. This is All Things Good. You're hearing it right here on CBC Radio 1.
I'm running back, don't stop breathing. I'm turning around to make things right. 'Cause I just wanna love you till I got nothing left inside. You hoped it'd be never ending. Time shines an even brighter light. And I just wanna hold you. I'm not gonna let this pass us by. So cry. I keep waiting for you. All good things must come to an end. It's alright. All good things must come to an end. It's alright. We wondered what would happen if our lives finally fell in line. But I saw those years pass, letting go. I'll take it slow when you say go. Start making up for time gone by. 'Cause I just wanna want you. Let me know when it's time to try. So cry and I'll keep waiting for you. All good things must come to an end. It's alright. All good things must come to an end. It's alright. All good things must come to an end. Give us a chance so we can begin. All good things must come to an end.
JP Ho with All Good Things. You heard it right here on CBC Radio 1. I'm Corey Funk. Welcome to Radio Noon here. Taking a quick look at your temperatures across the province. 3 degrees right now in Thompson. A bit of a chance of showers for you actually this afternoon. 5 right now in Brandon. A bit cloudy, but mainly sunny throughout the day. You're heading for a high of 10. Dauphin, 3 degrees right now, heading for a high of 9. And here in Winnipeg, we're sitting at 7 degrees right now, heading for a high of 9. And looking ahead, actually, to overnight temps, this is kind of an exciting little maybe milestone that we're at. Tonight is the last night, at least in the long-term forecast, of temperatures below zero in terms of the low. 2 degrees is the low tomorrow, 1 degree. Doesn't mean take out your hoses or anything yet for spring, because it's still going to go down to zero still on Monday. And things always kind of change. But, not too bad. And, I'm sure bird watchers might be a little happy about that nice overnight, above zero overnight weather as well. Because on any given night right now, hundreds of thousands of birds are migrating across North America. And while it's largely done under cover of darkness, it's not quiet. How our feathered friends communicate can teach us a lot. And Dan Manil is a biology professor at the University of Windsor who's studying the noise of migration.
We've been studying migration as scientists for many, many decades, originally by watching birds, staring at the moon and watching how many birds cross the moon through a telescope. And then more recently with radar technology, and then with little miniature tags that we can attach to birds and track them as they migrate. But I'm really interested in studying migrants by studying their sounds. And as the birds fly through the night sky, they produce very quiet calls. They sound like quiet little whispers, but you can hear them without a microphone or anything. If you go out for a walk at dusk or at dawn, you can hear up in the sky these sounds that almost sound like little cricket noises or something, but those are the sounds produced by migratory songbirds as they're on the wing. And so my research team at the University of Windsor has led the investigation of studying bird migration by pointing microphones up at the night sky and seeing what we can learn about birds by recording them as they're on the move. Although they sound the same to us, we have found that each different species has a different kind of flight call. And different researchers studying this phenomenon in different parts of the world have all collected their own database. And as we build those databases and bring them together, we find that we can reliably distinguish an American redstart from a yellow warbler because their sounds are slightly different, not by listening to them, but by collecting the recording them, bringing them back to a sound analysis lab like my laboratory at University of Windsor, and calling them up as a sound spectrogram. And we can say, oh, that one was a yellow warbler. That one was an American redstart. And that gives us a really interesting scientific tool because we can, by recording fall after fall, spring after spring, the number of redstarts and the number of yellow warblers and the number of all the other species that produce these calls, and track whether their numbers are increasing or decreasing, and whether their timing of their migration varies with global climate change, and address other really important conservation type questions through those long-term recording data sets.
Dan Manil is a biology professor at the University of Windsor. I have to say, now that I'm kind of getting a little older, I'm in my early 30s, the birding instinct is slowly starting to kick in. I won't say I'm like a big birder by any means, but I'll see a bird and I'll start to kind of wonder what is that thing? And I can see myself in maybe 10, 20 years being a full-on, flocking to some remote place to catch that one little bird. It's kind of like Pokemon Go, but real life, essentially. Well, still to come here on Radio Noon, Winnipeg won't be the only place in the province where people can train to be doctors, potentially very soon. We're going to hear about the plans for a new med school in Brandon from BU University President David Docherty. That's coming up after 12:35. But first, your CBC Winnipeg News.
This is CBC News. Good afternoon. I'm Josh Crabb in Winnipeg. The federal government has announced a boost for affordable housing across the country. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau was at a housing complex in Transcona to announce the $1.5 billion Canadian Rental Protection Fund. He says too often homes and apartment blocks are flipped and rents skyrocket. The money in the fund will go to low-cost loans for nonprofits and other developers to build and maintain affordable housing.
The Canada Rental Protection Fund will aim to mobilize investments and financing from the charitable sector, private sector, and other orders of government in order to maximize the ability to acquire and protect affordable housing.
The housing minister couldn't say how much of that $1.5 billion would go to Manitoba, but he does say it will be distributed proportionately. The federal Conservatives are weighing in on the Liberal government's latest announcement on housing. Deputy Leader Melissa Lantsman called it another billion-dollar photo op that won't result in any more houses being built in Canada. She says the announcements won't come anywhere close to the 5.8 million homes needed to restore housing affordability. Meantime, housing starts across Canada are expected to decline this year. Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation says this is due to the delayed effect of higher interest rates on new construction. Rental housing will also remain in short supply, leading to even higher rents and low vacancy rates. The CMHC says construction will start picking up again in 2025 and 2026. That's because of lower interest rates as well as government support and policies encouraging greater density in urban centers. Home prices will also rise, driven by high demand. Wait times for hip and knee replacements in Canada are longer than they were before the COVID-19 pandemic. That's according to a new report from the Canadian Institute for Health Information. It found that last year, 59% of patients on the wait list received knee replacement surgery within the recommended time frame. In 2019, 70% of patients met that benchmark. The report also shows wait times increased for cancer surgeries and radiation therapy. Canada's Brad Gushue clinched a playoff spot with a 7-4 win over Magnus Ramsfeld of Norway at the World Men's Curling Championship in Switzerland this morning. Canada improved to 8-1 to remain in second place in the 13-team round-robin standings. Gushue will face first-placed Nick Edin of Sweden later today. Sweden beat the U.S. 6-4 this morning to improve to a record of 9-0. And that is your CBC News from Winnipeg. Your next local news is coming up at 1:30.
So, Josh, it's finally nice outside. I think we're all very relieved to have this kind of weather. I know for me, I've been doing, I was able to just take my son out for a walk, and he didn't cry when he came across a patch of snow. He's a year and a half, and every time he sees like a snow and it's like he's still kind of learning to walk, so he like kind of freaks out. I was able to just go for a walk down the sidewalk, and it was amazing. He just had the best time. What's
Nice.
what's your thing you're doing now that you couldn't maybe a week or two ago?
Well, looking forward to paddling season once sort of the rivers and lakes, but mainly rivers, start to thaw. So got out for a run yesterday. It's something I typically don't do in the winter. I still
Without
bike in the
rolling your
winter.
ankle
Yeah,
or something?
exactly.
Yeah.
So still bike in the winter, but it is more fun to bike on dry pavement for
Yeah.
sure. So looking forward to that as well.
I'm a big fan of winter, but around now I just realized how much easier things are come this time of year now.
Totally. Just have to wear less layers, which is nice.
Oh, I know. It's the best. Just walk out the door. It's a great feeling.
For sure.
Thank you very much, Josh.
You're welcome.
That's Josh Crabb at our CBC news desk. Well, let's get a better look at just how nice it is across the province today. Time for a weather update with the CBC weather specialist, Riley Lachak.
Well, Corey, yes, we're looking at another above seasonal day, really right across Manitoba as we get through the day here on your Thursday. So right now, Winnipeg at 5 degrees already under a partly cloudy sky. Brandon 5 and mainly cloudy at the moment. Thompson's at 1. Dauphin right now at 3 degrees. So in Winnipeg today, we're looking at a high of 9. Sunny sky at the moment. Northeast winds at 10 kilometers an hour through the day today. Yes, maybe some double digits through extreme southern Manitoba again. And yes, some warmer conditions through Saskatchewan once again. So if you're a fan of the warm weather, be envious of our friends to the west. Parts of southern Saskatchewan topping 23 degrees through the day yesterday. And we're looking at another warm day through southern and southeastern Saskatchewan. Not quite that warm here in Manitoba. Down to about 3 degrees by the time we hit 8 o'clock tonight, -3 overnight night tonight through the Red River Valley. Mostly clear sky tonight. Winds shift around out of the southeast at 10 tonight with mainly clear sky as we head into the morning hours. A few clouds to start the day tomorrow. Mainly sunny day once again across southern Manitoba and really most of the north as well. Still, though, through extreme northern Manitoba to Dooley Lake into the Hudson Bay coast, a slim chance we could see maybe a few flurries as we get into the day, into the early part of Friday at least. Otherwise, we're looking at a mainly sunny sky, really province-wide tomorrow. 12 degrees is what I have in Winnipeg. Southeast winds gusting to 40 through the afternoon, so a bit on the breezy side. Saturday looking a bit breezy again as well. Mix of sun and clouds, 13 degrees. Sunday, mainly sunny and 14. Partial eclipse happening starting just before 1 o'clock in the afternoon on Monday. So far, I've got us under a sun-cloud mix in Winnipeg, but clouds build in and a slim chance we could see maybe a few sprinkles through the later part of the afternoon. 13s for both Monday and Tuesday, and 15 degrees, Corey, is what I have for Wednesday. Increasing clouds in the afternoon.
Thank you very much, Riley. That's CBC weather specialist Riley Lachuk. Well, aspiring doctors in Manitoba will soon be able to train somewhere other than Winnipeg. Brandon University's long-awaited med school is now in the works. The province's new 2024 budget includes plans to help fund the expansion of BU's Science Centre to help train new doctors and bring them into the Westman region. Well, for details, we've reached David Docherty, president of Brandon University. Hello there.
Hello, Corey.
So I know this is still in the very early stages right now, but how far off is BU from welcoming its first medical students?
Well, first of all, let's be very clear. This will be the University of Manitoba's medical school on our campus.
Right.
Okay, so and that's done for a reason. First of all, U of M already has accreditation. They know how to run a medical school. There's two different models that have been used in Canada, and the ones that seem to be more successful, instead of us having our own med school, is, well, for example, my daughter-in-law is at UBC Med School at University of Victoria, right? And so that's a model that's been used elsewhere quite successfully. So that's the model we'll be using, working very, very closely with the University of Manitoba. And the plan is our Brody Science Building is well over 50 years old now. It needs some major renovations. It is rock solid. The shell is it's great, but it needs some work on the inside. And we're also building a research annex next to it. The research annex is in the planning stage. We'll have all the drawings done by next spring to be kind of architectural drawings done. And we've added a floor to house the U of M Med School here in our campus. And so we're quite excited about that. I can say that the working relationship between ourselves and the University of Manitoba has been very, very good. We're thrilled that the province is supportive. As you said, it is kind of early days yet. The province has dedicated some funds to us in the budget that was presented on Tuesday. And we're working with the province to see the best way to make use of those funds at this stage of the project. In fact, I was just speaking with the government previously today about that. And so we're thrilled that the government is supporting this. It's not the $40 million we need to kind of start construction right now, but we get that. But it certainly is the kind of support that sends the right signals as we talk to people in the community, letting them know that the government is in support of this project.
Yeah, I was looking through the budget because I saw funding for the capital expansion of the Science Centre. It's a bullet point. There's no real number attached to it. What can you tell us about how much money you are getting from the government to help? You said you need I think it was 40 million.
Well, it's probably going to be more than 40. 40 would just do the renovation of Brody.
Okay.
The expansion would probably cost another 25. So I don't have the exact figure yet. We're talking to the province about it. I know it is 7 figures, and it's healthy and it's a good start, but it's not enough for us to start hiring construction work now to get things done. And so, how to make the best use of these funds is a short-term strategy to garner more funds. Is kind of the conversations we've been having with the province.
Gotcha.
But I do want to underline the important signal they're sending to Western Manitoba by supporting this, and it's not just Brandon. You talk to people in Souris and Verdun. We're dealing with regional municipality mayors from all over Western Manitoba. This, when it's done, and it could be a few years before the building's done, and the question U of M will have is, can they start before the building's finished? And we don't have an answer to that question yet. But when it's done, this will be a game changer with the thought that we can have students who come from more remote areas of Manitoba, Western Manitoba, Eastern Saskatchewan, Northern Manitoba. They feel when they're starting that Winnipeg might be too large a city to start their academic career in. But if they come here, take our science degree, get into the med school program, do their training in the field here, working with local doctors, then they're much more likely to stay here once they graduate. And that's something I know the province is keen to address. It's something that U of M is keen to address, and it's certainly something as Canada's finest regional university that we want to do to make sure we can take care of people within our region.
How many students do you think you'll be able to accommodate once you're open?
Well, I think they're probably looking. My understanding is, and again, this U of M has far more expertise in running a medical school than I am.
Right.
But my understanding is groups of 4 to 8. So it could be 16 a year that we'd take in. And I know that some of the initial talk, I don't know where it is now, but some of the initial talk was, well, you might want to start. Normally, if we put on a new program, so we're going to have a program in photonics. We don't have one, but let's say we just started one. You'd start with your first year entry, and then year 2, you'd have first and second year students. Year 3, you'd have first, second, third, etc. Part of the conversation that I was listening to was that, could we start with fourth year med students, because they're in the field all the time anyway, and so you might not need the classroom space that you would with the first year student. And so you might start with fourth year students and then work your way down.
Okay.
But I don't know, again, that's not nothing set in stone.
Mm-hmm. And I guess you kind of hinted at this earlier, but is the kind of idea to also prioritize entry to people from the kind of the region in general, West Man, Northern, Eastern Saskatchewan as well?
Yeah, that's a conversation that will be taking place over the next number of months to see what the entrance requirements are, what the recruitment requirements are. And so we want to make sure that we have high-quality students, and we know that we have a lot of high-quality students in our region. Every year we send 3 or 4 students to med school in Winnipeg. Wouldn't it be nice if they could stay here and learn and do some of their work here locally? So we have a good track record of students qualifying to U of M's med school, and so we see that as a good start and kickoff, and hopefully they'll be able to stay here.
Mm. And what difference do you hope this makes for Brandon's or even the area's medical healthcare system in general, as you train more doctors in Brandon?
Yeah, I think it's great. I mean, I think it speaks volumes. I think it can be an attractive place to recruit doctors who may have the opportunity to work with more med students. And so I think that it not only will be graduating doctors that we hope to stay, people will say, oh, I have an opportunity to get involved in this school as a physician. I'm going to move to Brandon, and that's an attractive one. It's also an attractive for companies looking to locate different places and saying, okay, this not only do we have we're already at a great advantage in Brandon because a city of our size that has both a first-class college and a first-class university is great for attracting families to begin with. If we can add a few more professional programs, it just adds that extra that makes us an attractive place for all kinds of people to move to.
Now, I understand also this, medical school training is actually just one aspect of this expansion to your science center. Can you kind of give us a sense of the scale that you're kind of hoping to reach with this expansion and what else you hope to have on offer once everything's done and upgraded?
Sure. I mean, and thank you for that question, Corey, because we don't want to lose sight of the fact that we've been working on this renovation of Brodie for quite some time before the discussion of the med school came up. We've essentially... it's a great 5-story building. It is not the most effective use of space, and we can make more effective use of space if we were to do some renovations. But our science program has also expanded incredibly, not surprisingly, in the past 50-plus years. And we're running out of space for laboratories. As our faculty become more research engaged, we need more lab space. And so the idea of a research annex accompanying it would mean that a bulk of the teaching could take place in a renovated Brody, but a lot of the labs, you need wet rooms, you need dry rooms, you need fume hoods, you need those kinds of things can be centralized in the research annex. It will also allow us to work with more local businesses, support local businesses. We already have great relations with many of them, whether it's through our geology department, geography department, biology department. We already have great relationships. We can expand those. We can expand the partnerships we have with them. It will give our students perhaps a bit more opportunity to engage in research, and undergraduate science students engaging in research is critical as they begin to move on to graduate programs. It gives them that added step up, because in many larger institutions, undergrads don't have that opportunity to do research. And so that will help. It will also, we're also planning under the design to have a couple of larger lecture halls that I would say that will make us ideal to host larger conferences. And so we see this as an opportunity for whether it's people coming to use the university for conference or come to Brandon to host conferences and use university space for some of it. I think it will actually increase the amount of outside dollars coming in for conferences and things of that nature.
President Docherty, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon, and all the best with the planning for the med school coming up.
Well, thank you very much, and I appreciate your call. You have a great afternoon.
Yeah, you too. David Docherty is president of Brandon University.
All over Turtle Island, host Rosanna Deerchild welcomes you to Unreserved.
Indigenous peoples are retelling history through an Indigenous lens.
Unreserved, celebrating 10 years, looking back at how far we've come, and looking forward to the journey ahead.
How do we keep the story going?
Unreserved with Rosanna Deerchild. Now at a new time, Sunday afternoon at 2:30 in Newfoundland, 3 Pacific, 4 Mountain, and on demand on CBC Listen.
12:47 right now. You're listening to Radio Noon here on CBC Radio 1. And hello, everyone on YouTube as well. And you might want to tune into YouTube for this next piece, because it's got a pretty solid visual element to it. Because when you picture the sport of kiteboarding in your mind, you just don't picture a kite. Picture someone strapped to a snowboard holding a long rope attached to what looks more like a big parachute. And when you picture the type of person that would go kiteboarding, especially in St. Laurent, you're going to want to think again. In St. Laurent, it's actually seniors who have been shredding up the icy plains of Lake Manitoba, and CBC's Emily Brass was there to capture the action.
Some might seek out a warmer climate to retire, but Neil McKinnon chose the frosty shores of Lake Manitoba, all because of his love of kiteboarding.
Well, we have some of the larger size kites out.
He says the strong winds and open ice make St. Laurent one of the best spots in the world for kiteboarding.
12.2 knots, so that is absolutely perfect. And this whole area, this beach was probably created by the northwest wind, so it's just absolutely perfect. It's our most reliable wind.
When conditions are right, he posts online for fellow kiters to join him.
Today, the retirees are out and available.
First to arrive was Darius Couric, another person who chose St. Laurent to retire.
My house is nearby.
Okay, yeah.
We moved in a couple of years ago, just main reason to do this. I've never realized we have such a big community at home here in Manitoba. We have 2 Great Lakes, and it's a big community of kiters, and lots of them are here in St. Laurent.
At 60 years old, he's the baby of the bunch and says anyone can try kiteboarding.
It's never too late. It was my midlife crisis. I started when I was over 50. We have like 80, 85-year-old doing this sport, so the age doesn't matter.
Roland Rioux is known for catching air with his kite. Not what you might expect from someone who's 78.
I do back rolls and jumps and that kind of stuff. I'd come about 250 times during the year. I've cut it back down to about 150 or something.
Even so, Roland pushes the boundaries, kiting late into the season.
Have you ever gone through?
Many times. Yeah, but it's always like a safe situation.
Another daredevil on the ice is Barry Morwick. At 62, the professional hang glider often goes out on a buggy and says there's no better place for winter kiting.
Here on the flats of Manitoba, you could go skiing or snowboarding or ice buggy racing, and the wind is free, and that's the best part. $20 of gas to get here, and you're having fun all day.
That is, after you buy the gear, which can be expensive. Neil has several kites for every condition.
Here we go.
The wind lifts his kite and his spirits as he joins the other seniors out on the ice. Emily Brass, CBC News, St. Laurent, Manitoba.
Thanks for that, Emily. And to see the very impressive videos of those kiteboarders in St. Laurent, you can head to our website, cbc.ca/Manitoba. Well, it's not entirely kiteboarding weather out there. I mean, yeah, you may want to hang off the lake because I bet you there's going to be at least a little bit of water on top. Right now, looking in Brandon area, 5 degrees right now. Cloudy, heading for a high today, though, of 10. Dauphin right now, 3 degrees right now, heading for a high today of 9. Thompson, 3 right now. There's a chance of showers for you, actually, today. 30% chance or so. You're heading for a high of 6 degrees. You're 3 degrees right now in Winnipeg. 7 degrees, heading for a sunny 9 today here in Winnipeg. Well, I know you're probably eating maybe your lunch right now, but we actually want to take some time to think a little bit about breakfast, particularly the word breakfast, courtesy of our word nerd, Elizabeth Withy.
Feels like lightning and thunder.
What did you eat for breakfast? Wait, did you eat breakfast at all? If not, you could always head out for some fast food in the fast lane while blasting your favorite version of fast car, unless that is, you're fasting.
I'm going fast as I can. Please don't make me rush. This feeling's coming on way too fast. I'll tell you.
The word fast is everywhere, and usually it's a reference to speed. Think fast. Fast talker. Pull a fast one on someone. But the word originally meant something a little different. Fast comes from Old English, faced, meaning firm, strong, vigorous. That's likely from Old Norse, fast, meaning the same, from the Proto-Germanic root, fastu. It's how we've come to have phrases like hold fast, stick fast, steadfast, or a rule that's fast and firm.
Everything is moving so fast. I am unlimited.
But fast also means quick. The thinking is the definition evolved from the original meaning, because doing something strongly or vigorously might also involve some speed. Say in the context of a race, a horse or runner might stick close to the next one, and as such run fast, as in hot on your heels.
You got you, fast horse start, but all you do is complain. It ain't a Maserati.
Firm or strong is also what inspired the term we used when someone is refraining from eating, as in intermittent fasting or religious fasting, as we see during Ramadan, which is underway now, or Lent, which just wrapped up last week. That's where we get the term breakfast, too. As a kid, I always thought it meant a fast break. You know, hurry up and eat your porridge before the bus comes. But breakfast is about breaking your fast. The fasting you did while you were fast asleep all night.
And I said, what about breakfast to Tiffany? She said, I think I remember the film.
For CBC Radio, I'm Elizabeth Withy.
I did. one thing we got.
Now I'm going to have breakfast at Tiffany's stuck in my head all day. Well, if there's a word you're wondering about, just drop a line. You can email Elizabeth at wordnerd@cbc.ca.
I'm Angeline Tedaweo, host of The Block. Step into a 2-hour experience that feels like you're laid back, kicking it with a friend who also happens to be a music head. Always keeping it interesting. Listening to new songs you love and classics that transport you right back to your life's biggest moments. The Block, weeknight starting at 7:30 in Newfoundland on CBC Music and anytime on CBC Listen.
Your local news at your fingertips.
CBC News has a local news app made for your phone or tablet.
So don't waste time scrolling for the local stories you want. Just download the app to get the information that matters to you, when it happens,
and how you want it.
Another way to get your local news. The CBC News app. Download it today.
12:56 right now, and we are coming up to the end of Radio Noon, but there's still plenty of lovely local programming waiting for you later on today here on CBC Radio 1. And Faith Fundal, host of Up to Speed, is in the studio to tell you a little bit about what you can expect today on the show. Hi there, Faith.
Hello, Corey. Okay, I have a test for you.
Ooh, okay.
Listen to this.
Okay.
Any clues?
It sounds familiar. It's
Okay.
clearly a movie score, an adventurous movie score of some sort.
There's two of them. There's two.
Yeah, okay, wait. Okay, the first one sounds like the beginning of a movie. I picture like is it the dude that's like hanging from the moon? Am I right?
You were right, yeah.
Okay, and the second
from
one.
E.T.
Okay, yes. Okay, it's from E.T. Okay, and then the other one is, I don't want to say, it's not Indiana Jones. It's like
It is not.
It's
It is not.
Indiana Jones-esque.
But this is perfect because it's from The Magnificent Seven.
Oh, okay.
So just a few notes can make an entire film's identity. Senior reporter Eli Glasner is in Winnipeg for a Winnipeg Symphony Orchestra event, and he's going to join us for all those details and explain why just those few notes just comes up in your mind.
Oh, so fun. Okay, wait. Indiana Jones is din 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 din.
That's it.
Din,
Yep,
din.
yep.
Okay, so there we go. I was kind of right, kind of wrong.
50%. You pass.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much, Faith. Looking forward to that. That's Faith Fundal. You can catch them from 3 to 6 this afternoon on Up to Speed. Thanks to everyone who helped put together today's show. Kalgadan Mulugeta, Josh Crabb, Riley Laychuk, Brad Lillies is our video producer behind YouTube, and our director and technician is Dylan Longhurst. Also, big thank you to show producer Nelly Gonzalez, senior producer of audio Leif Larson. I'm Corey Funk. It was a pleasure spending the lunch hour with you today. You're listening to CBC Radio 1, and coming up next, Quirks and Corks. Hope whatever you find yourself up to on this beautiful spring day, you end up doing something you love with the people you love. Have a good one.